All right, guys, welcome to our new real estate law education series. Basically, those of you that may or may not know, there were some new laws that took effect last week that are nationwide, in fact, here in the state of Florida and every other state in the nation. There's really only two things that changed in the state of Florida because where all these lawsuits and stuff took place was a different state, different rules. We already 90% of all this stuff we already do. Matter of fact, that what we're going to talk about right now, the home buyer engagement letter, it's basically a buyer broker agreement, which my team has used, for years. But now the difference is it's mandated. So this video is mainly for buyers, sellers. You may want to watch as well because this could have an effect on, the end result of your home sale as well. But this is primarily for buyers. I'm going to share my screen in just a minute. We're going to go over the document and I'll explain to you what it says. Again, they're going to be, a little different looks to them, but they all have to have the same information by law. And every realtor in the United States now has to have any prospective buyer sign one of these things before showing them any properties, whether it be on a property by property basis, on a contract term basis, much like we sell houses. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to share my screen here. And this is the buyer's journey. Window right here. Boom. All right. Gosh, that was harder than I thought it was going to be. But this form right here is the agreement that every single real estate agent now, and not only just for purchase, but also if you're looking to rent, there's a version of the form for this. Now, this form has already changed a couple times. It probably will change again. But let's go over the basics of it. All this other stuff is great and whatever, and you can read that at your leisure. If you want to copy this, more than happy to send it to you, or you can come here in the office and we'll talk about it. But the things that it has to have, length of agreement, it has to have a term. Now, that term can be 1 day if you're just, like if you're coming to see one of my listings, I can do a 1 day term with you for my listing. And I can specifically state over here in other terms, it's just for whatever that listing is, okay? In general terms, you're going to see these, in most cases, what we generally do is when we engage, and what we've done in the past, when we engage with a customer, we do a 1 month agreement, and then we just renew it if needed, as needed, if everybody's happy. Cancellation, it can be canceled by both parties with mutual, agreement. It's every single contract that we have has this in it. Also, every single contract we have has this little arbitration thing or dispute resolution. Brokerage relationship, it specifically has to state now that our services are that of a transaction broker versus a single agent or another kind of specialty broker, which we never had to have that in writing in Florida because in Florida it was assumed that all agents were transaction brokers unless otherwise noted. So, but now it has to say that we're a transaction broker. Now, what does a transaction broker mean, you may ask? That means we have a fiduciary responsibility to both parties in the transaction or in the deal, and that means that we're committed to treating each of you fairly. That's essentially what that means. If you were to look up what does a transaction broker mean, here's the one that gets a little crazy with everybody, and this is actually going to change too because right now there's a dollar amount in here. This will change to a percentage. There's also a couple other things that can be done over here, but this other part, broker compensation. So there's two parts to this. One is that in this number right here, the 3% or 6% for a resale or 6% for new construction, whatever this number is right here, that is the maximum amount of compensation that a buyer broker can be paid for these transactions, right? Again, I don't even know why they have to put that in there, but that's why it's in there. It also has to show if the seller is not paying a commission, what amount is the buyer going to be responsible for? And that's going to either be a percentage or a dollar amount. Right now, it's just a dollar amount in the form, but that will change to reflect the percentage amount of the gross sale or a dollar amount. In other terms, there's a ton of different things that could be put into there, but right now they're trying to keep it very defined and to the rules. So this is the basics of this form. Again, they're not all going to look like this. We got a nice little welcome to and all that kind of stuff in there. And then there's some stuff that shows what we're committing to you. This doesn't have to be in there, this part right here, but basically it has to tell you that for the length of the agreement, what the cancellation policies are, brokerage relationship, dispute resolution, and broker compensation. And also in there has to say that you understand that fees are fully negotiable and not set by law, and broker's compensation for any source will not exceed the amount of compensation the written agreement. That's what those numbers are for, right? Brokers' fees have never been set by law. They've always been negotiable. Matter of fact, you've never had to use a broker to buy a house or even sell your house. That's what for sale by owners are all about. If you want to sell your own house, you can. If you want to sell your house with me or any other individual agent, it's always been a negotiated amount. Now, our contracts, and this is the buyer side only, but our contracts on the selling side already have that in it as well. So this is the one change by law now in the state of Florida. So this form with these items, individual items right here, have to be in that form, and you'll see them on all kinds of different ways. And some people might try to, sneak some stuff in and make it not as evident and whatnot. But this is the law. This part right here. Okay. So get used to them. You're going to be seeing them. When we go over the seller part on the seller compensation to buyer's broker, that's going to be a different thing because that's the one other thing that changed. The second thing that changed in the laws in the state of Florida outside of this is that now sellers are not allowed, and by definition, the agent for the seller is not allowed to put what amount of compensation is offered to a buyer broker on the multiple listing service. There's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there about a lot of things. Commissions have not gone away. Buyer broker commissions have not gone away. The only thing that has changed is we are not allowed to present that on the multiple listing service, which I honestly don't get. I've never heard of taking something out of the light and put it into the darkness that ended well for the consumer, but that's what we're doing. So, all right. So this is the basics of it. If you want more information, we'll talk about it more. Several things. Number one, got these handy dandy. Let me stop sharing my screen so you can see all this stuff. Got these handy dandy buyer's guides, right? So this is actually just a nice little, pretty sort of step-by-step thing that we made up for you. So if you want to have this to kind of go along and understand what's going on in the process, it's just a nice thing to have. I can also send you a digital version. But in the end, realistically speaking, the best thing for you to do, especially with all these new rules and all the changes, is sit down with a trusted real estate professional. Obviously, we want that to be myself or one of my agents in the Andrew Burr group, if you're in any of our market areas. But get them to explain it to you fully. Ask questions. Understand what's going on, why it's going on, and what you're getting into before you start the journey. And most of the time, I like to have people come in the office anyways, because we can get through a lot of things, including, looking at our big screen TVs and stuff like that, and kind of narrowing it down and going through a lot of the processes right here in the comfort of the office before we get in the car and start spending a lot of time driving around, because we can save both me and you a lot of time and a lot of gas money by doing it that way. If you're interested in having a one-on-one consultation with myself or any member of my team, please get in touch with us. My telephone number direct is 561-324-8914. You can reach me at realtorandrew1@yahoo.com. That's realtor like sells your house. My name, Andrew, the number 1 at Yahoo, realtorandrew1@yahoo.com. And you can obviously find a whole bunch more of these videos and informational type snippets in a multitude of places. But the easiest place is to go to YouTube at the Andrew Burr Group, or just search the Andrew Burr Group on YouTube or something along those lines. And there is literally hundreds of videos for you to view. So I look forward to seeing you here in beautiful South Florida. If you're ready to buy, come on in. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's make sure you understand the process, and let's get you the best end result as we possibly can. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.